In this video, I'm going to do a live teardown of a real multi-7-figure brand's Klaviyo account. I'll be sharing my screen and walking you through a real Klaviyo account of a brand doing over $200,000 in monthly sales. We'll go through what's working, what's broken, and exactly how I'd fix it, using the same strategies that I helped my clients generate over $40 million in sales. This breakdown is going to give you the clarity and the exact playbook that you need to scale your email revenue without throwing more money at ads. So with that being said, let's get started. All right, so let's get started with the audit. So in one tab, I'm going to be going through the Klaviyo account of an ecom brand. And in another tab, I'm going to be writing down all my notes and all my findings and basically going through everything that I think is working and not working. So I'm going to be pretty much picking apart the entire Klaviyo account and writing down my thoughts. So let's get started. All right, so first thing on the audit is going to be our account overview. So let's have a look at what the last 90 days revenue looks like for the client. So I've changed this time period to 90 days. And as we can see, the brand drove over $807,000 in the last 90 days. So I'm just going to write this down over here and let's see what the Klaviyo attributed revenue looks like. So it's around $84,000, which is about 10% of the brand's total revenue, which is actually quite low. Now we know that on average, brands should be driving at least 20 to 25%. That's the lowest threshold that we should be aiming for. And these guys are only driving around 10% of their total revenue from Klaviyo. So it shows us that there's a huge room for improvement. So I'm just going to copy this number over as well. And next to it, I'm going to write should be at least 20%, which is double. So we know straight out of the gate, even if we do a mediocre job, industry average job for this brand, then we should be driving at least an extra $84,000 from email marketing. Now let's have a look at their list growth. So we'll go through their sign up forms on Klaviyo to see how fast their list is growing. So we'll go to sign up forms on the left and we can see that the brand is running one sign up form. It's a pop-up and it has quite a strong submit rate. So they're at 13.2%, which is actually very, very good. Even Klaviyo is saying this is excellent. So I'm going to write this down. I'm going to say this is something that is working quite well. So I'll write excellent. And I'll make this bold. Cool. So overall, at a glance, we can see that the brand can be driving probably double of what they're currently driving in terms of sales from Klaviyo, but their list is actually going at quite a healthy rate. So it just comes down to utilizing this list in a good way and really making the most out of all the profiles that they have in Klaviyo. So next thing that we're going to look at is the deliverability. So let's have a look at what the deliverability score is. So I'm just going to move myself slightly over and go to deliverability on the left. We can see it's right here. Myself back. And we can see the deliverability score is 81 right now. Now, we should be aiming for an 85 plus, but this is still quite good. It's gone up in the last 30 days and it's actually quite healthy, but I think it can be improved a little bit more. The main metrics that Klaviyo thinks are of concern right now are the unsubscribe rate. That's the biggest concern. And then open rate and bounce rates are not super healthy either. They're just average. So overall, I think that we're pretty close in terms of deliverability, but the unsubscribe rate is probably the biggest element here. So let's write what their deliverability score is. It is 81. Benchmark is 85. Problem stats right now are going to be unsubscribe rate, open rate. So these are basically the stats that we need to focus on to get our deliverability to above 85. So the unsubscribe rate, open rate, and bounce rate. Now, if I was on a call with a client, I would go through more deeper strategies of to exactly how we would want to improve the unsubscribe rate, open rate, and bounce rate. But I don't want this to be a 2-hour long video. So I'm going to be kind of highlighting this, but I'm sure if you've been following me for a while, I've shared a lot of strategies on how to improve your unsubscribe rate, open rate, and your bounce rates. Cool. Next, let's get to the flows. So I'm going to be going through all of the flows one by one, but before that, let's look at the flows at a glance. Okay, so let's have a look at what our open rate, click rate, and place order rate looks like for our flows in the last 30 days. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to our dashboards tab on the left and click the overview dashboard. And I'm going to move myself over a little bit so we can see all the numbers. Scroll down to flows. And here we can see. So our open rate right now is 36%, click rate is 5.4%, and place order rate is 2.9%. So our open rate is actually quite low. It's far below average. So it's definitely below average because Klaviyo is saying that it's fair. So I'm just going to copy these numbers over. So I've just pasted these numbers over into my audit document, and now I'm going to write a little note based on what I think is going on here. So I just wrote this in my notes, so I'm just going to copy it now. And basically what this means is that the data shows that people aren't super convinced to open the emails, but the people who do open the emails find it enticing enough to click and then take action. So what we really need to focus on is optimizing the subject lines and preview text, as well as improving the deliverability to get more people to open your emails. So overall, as we can see, the click rate and place order rate are pretty good, but the open rate is lagging behind quite quite a fair bit. So the best way to improve your open rate is going to be improving your subject lines. Okay, so now let's get nitty gritty in terms of the flows. So I'm going to start with the welcome series. So let's pull it up on Klaviyo. So I've just opened up the welcome series in Klaviyo and I've just clicked show analytics over here and I've changed this time to the last 90 days. And let's have a look at what's been happening. So right now there's a 3 email sequence. So immediately there's email 1 that gets sent with the offer. And then there's another email that says don't miss out on also the offer. And then we have a third email which is saying your offer is about to expire. So that's basically 3 emails that are being sent, all to do with the offer. And what's happening right now is we have a good amount of opens in email 1, but right after that, it's absolutely plummets. So email 2 has an open rate of 32%, and then email 3 has a similar open rate of 32%. So in terms of the actual sales, there's really not much happening in the last 2 emails. The bulk of it is just coming from the first email, which is the offer. And overall, I think there's a ton of improvement here that can be done. So I'm just gonna write down the performance of email 1. So open rate is 45%, click rate is 10%, and place order rate 6.3%. Cool. So email 1 is actually doing pretty well, but after that, there's really not much that happens. So the current number of emails is 3, but they're all offer related. What I would actually suggest instead is a 5-part sequence that has a mixture of offer, promotion, and education. Now, a lot of brands, when they get new subscribers, they don't realize that a lot of people probably don't know anything about you. So, yes, they're interested in the offer if you want to give them 10% off or whatever it might be, but you also need to nurture them because they might not be ready to buy it and they might not know if your product is right for them. That's why for the welcome series, we like to have a 5-part email sequence. So for email 1, what we want to do is do a welcome to the brand plus enjoy your, say, 10% off offer. And then after 24 hours, we want to automatically resend that to anyone who doesn't open that email. And then email 2 is going to be showcasing your best sellers plus offer reminder. And then email 3 is going to be purely educational. So what makes your brand different? What sets you guys apart? Email 4 is going to be social proof plus testimonials plus an offer reminder. So you always want to have the offer as a reminder, but it shouldn't be just the only thing that the email is all about. And then email 5 is going to be a final reminder. This is where urgency is very important. Your offer is about to expire. Say offer expires in 24 hours. So here we've still highlighted the offer, but we've given them 5 emails spread over a longer period of time and giving them different angles to help them feel comfortable placing an order. So we've given them social proof, we've given them education of what sets you apart, we've showcased your best selling products. So we're able to get a brand new user, someone that is completely unfamiliar with your brand, to a hopefully placing an order with you. So that's going to be the welcome series. Next is our abandoned checkout flow. So current performance, let's have a look. So let's have a look at the cart abandonment flows. So I'm going to change the time frame again to 90 days. So let's have a look at what these emails are doing. So as we can see, the open rate is not that good. It's at 36%. A cart abandonment open rate should be much, much higher. So let's write this down and compare it to our benchmarks. So I've just pasted it down here and let's compare it to industry benchmarks. Now, according to Klaviyo 2024 benchmarks, for the abandoned checkout flow, the average open rate is 50.5%. And the top 10% brands get over 65% open rate. Now, these guys are at 36, so they're far below average and they're getting about half of what the top brands are getting. In terms of click rate, they're at 4%. Industry average is around 6%. So again, they're below average here as well. And their place order rate is actually not that bad. It's slightly above average, which is good, but that shows us that open rate and click rate are quite poor right now. So the next thing that I did was I had a look at every single email and I had a look at what their subject lines and preview text look like and what the actual email looks like. And I noticed that their preview texts are way too long. Right now, for a preview text, you don't want it to be more than 50 to 60 characters, but these guys had around double for every single email. So that is probably what is contributing to a poor open rate. So that's something that I'm going to write down over here. So preview texts are too long. These should be no more than 50 to 60 characters. Another thing that I noticed, there was not enough social proof in the emails. So I'm going to write that down as well. I'll put a bullet point for this one too. And in terms of the abandoned checkout flow, you really want to address common objections. So that's another thing that I noticed that they weren't really doing. So I'm going to show you what these emails kind of look like, but I'm going to blur them because I don't want to completely publicly share these emails for this brand, but I'm going to kind of show you what they look like in terms of the structure, but everything else will be blurred. So this is what it looks like. So as you can see, it just has thanks for stopping by at the top and just a simple return to cart. And that's it. And then just a random image down below, but that's about it. So they haven't really added any social proof. They haven't really addressed any common objections. It's just a very, very bare bones, simple reminder email, which is not going to cut it. So that's why I've added those notes to my audit. Now let's get to the next flow, which is abandoned cart flow. And this one is actually completely missing. So I had a look at the Klaviyo account. They don't have it active. This is a high impact flow, and it's probably one of the most commonly missed flows. So I just added a bit of information about this flow and how I suggest running it. So next flow is going to be the browse abandonment flow. So let's have a look at their browse abandonment. So the browse abandonment flow right now, they have 2 emails and it's the same story. The open rate is pretty low. It's under 40%, but their click rate and place order rate is pretty good. So overall, I would suggest having at least 2 emails in this flow. And I'm going to show you what their emails look like. Same story. I'm going to blur it, but as you can see, it pretty much looks exactly the same as the abandoned cart. So it's not going to cut it. There needs to be a lot more information to help nurture the customer. We want to add social proof. We want to address common objections. And we want to actually have the dynamic product block of the exact products that the customer was browsing. So right now they just have a CTA, but that's not enough. You need to actually show the exact products as well. So in my audit doc, I've written down what their performance looks like, and I'm going to add some suggested improvements. So I highly recommend, again, A/B testing to subject lines and preview text because their open rate is quite low. So in terms of the actual email structure, right now it's very bare bones, but we want to focus on more social proof education, and we want to actually showcase the exact product that the customer was viewing. So let's get to the next flow. So the site abandonment flow right now is completely missing for the brand as well. So I looked for the site abandonment flow and I couldn't find it on Klaviyo. So again, I've just added a bit of information about what the flow is and how I recommend setting it up. So I recommend having a 2 email sequence. Email 1 is what makes a brand different, plus give them a soft nudge. And then email 2 is going to be social proof and top collections. So that's pretty much it for the site abandonment. So next, let's have a look at the post-purchase flow. So this is their post-purchase flow right now, and it's actually set up, but it's not live. It's just in manual mode. But the actual flow is very, very simple. They've just got one email that gets sent one day after the customer places an order. They split it up between new customers and returning customers, and I'll show you what the actual email looks like as well. This is their email design right now. So it is absolutely nothing going on. It just says thank you. They've got the logo up the top, and then they've just got text right here, which is just a big block of text. No footer, no education, really nothing else. Again, that's not going to cut it. It's not enough. So I've added some suggestions over here. So right now, the post-purchase flow is pretty much inactive. I recommend having a 5 email sequence. Email 1 should be thank you for your order. Again, keep it split between new and returning customers and send it immediately. Right now they have a 1-day delay. Email 2 should be focused on how the customers can benefit from using the product so they can hit the ground running once the product arrives. So that way they know exactly how to use it, all the features, and how to actually make the most out of it. So we want to send this 2 days after the order has shipped. Email 3 should be a cross-selling email promoting other products. Email 4 should be a review request 10 days after delivery. And email 5 is a replenishment reminder. So this brand is actually a product that you would buy, let's say every 30 days. So let's say it's been about 20 days since the customers received their product. We want to let them know that, hey, your stock's kind of running low soon and you want to order soon. So then you don't have any downtime. So that's pretty much it in terms of the structure. Now I've got some examples of what these emails should look like. So here's an example of the educational email. So, this is an example from Dossier, how to get the most out of your perfume. So it goes through some tips and it's got a nice image at the top. Pretty simple email. So basically you're just teaching the customer exactly what they need to know so they can start using the product as soon as it comes. And here's an example of a replenishment reminder email notifying the customers that it's time to restock your supply. So again, pretty simple email, just needs to be set up, make it nice and user friendly. And again, it has to be visually appealing as well. So next flow is the customer win back flow. All right, so let's have a look at their customer win back flow. So I'll move myself over. So as we can see, the trigger is place order and it says wait 30 days. So 30 days after the flow should trigger, and it says customer has placed order 0 times in the last 30 days. So this filter is actually causing a lot of issues because this flow has not sent to anyone in the last 90 days. What's actually happening right now is that they've actually set this flow up incorrectly, because if you think about it, the first filter is someone places an order and you wait 30 days. So that means someone's placed an order about 30 days ago. And then this says has placed order 0 times in the last 30 days. So we're actually canceling this one out, which means everyone is falling into the no category and there are 0% of people that are falling into the yes category. So this filter just needs to be deleted completely, because this should be set up within the trigger filters that place order 0 times since starting this flow. So that's fine. So just deleting this filter will actually make sure this flow gets sent to people in the first place. But let's actually have a look at what this email looks like. So this is the email. I guess it's probably good that it's not going to anyone, but it basically says, hi Taran, this is an email just for you. We hope you like the team. So I'm not really sure what's going on. This isn't really a customer win back type of email. There's really no call to action. There's nothing really happening. So this is an example of an email that, first of all, it's set up completely incorrectly, but even if it was set up, it is not really correct. So what I've written down is some notes based on what I think needs to be done. So first of all, I'm just going to say current performance hasn't gone to anyone due to incorrect filters. And I'm not even going to bother going through any of the metrics because there's basically 0% for everything, but I recommend having this flow structure. So email 1 should be, it's been a while, give them a general reminder. And then email 2 should be, here's a special discount for you. So there's no point in adding a discount straight away because sometimes just a gentle reminder goes a long way. There's no need eating up extra margins for no reason. So then if they don't place an order with email 1, then give them email 2, which gives them the discount. And then email 3 is your offer expires in 24 hours. So up that urgency. Here are better examples of what a customer win back email should look like. So these are both the email 1 where you haven't actually focused on a discount just yet. It's just, it's been a while, have a look at what you've missed. So basically just showcase some new products or some new collections since the customer last placed their order. So that's basically it for the customer win back. So that pretty much covers all of our core flows so far. So we can see that the flows that they do have running do need to be improved quite substantially. And then there are also some flows that are completely missing altogether. So in terms of the flows, that's pretty much all my recommendations. Now let's get to the campaigns. So I'm back here in the overview dashboard and let's look at what the campaign performance looks like. So they've got an average open rate of 30%, click rate is good, place order rate is good. So it's the same story here with the campaigns too. People aren't really interested in opening the emails, but once they open them, they do take action. So the subject lines, preview text need to be improved substantially. It's really damaging the brand right now. So I'm going to write that down in my recommendations. So in my notes, I've added what the open rate, click rate, and place order rate look like. And now I'm just going to add a section which basically says the same thing, that people aren't convinced to open their emails, but once they do take action. So now let's actually have a look at what these campaigns are looking like. So I can see these campaigns and there are actually a lot of emails that have been sent in the last 90 days, but it looks like they're just going to small audiences. Only a couple hundred people are opening them and they're getting 0 sales. So these must be different types of campaigns for very specific use cases, but I don't think these are their regular weekly campaigns. I can see that they've got an email that went out to a larger audience and it actually got a ton of sales. It got 6,600 sales. So in terms of the emails that do get sent to the right audiences, they get quite a lot of sales, but it just looks like the number of emails that are being sent are very, very small. So I actually counted, I saw 9 emails that are being sent to a larger audience in the last 90 days, which means it's about 3 emails every month, which is actually less than 1 email every week. So not enough emails that are going out. So same story, the open rates are still quite low for the emails that go to those large groups of people, but the amount of orders are actually very, very strong. So then based on that, this is what my recommendations are. So first of all, I think they should be at the very least sending 3 emails per week. So that's what they're sending per month right now. They should be sending at least 3 emails every single week. They should be sending emails that focus on educating the customers on their benefits, as well as actually promotional emails that highlight the hero products. This is going to be a surefire way to drastically increase the campaign revenue. And what you want to do to drive even more sales from those weekly campaigns is resend every email to anyone who didn't open it within 48 hours. Now, you don't want to just resend it to everyone, but anyone that is engaged in the last 30 days but missed that last email. Another thing that we want to do is resend winning emails on the weekend to a segment called Espresso Shot. So basically what you want to do is on the weekend where you don't have an email going out, send a strong email from the previous month to a segment called Espresso Shot. So that's anyone who's opened an email in the last 72 hours but didn't place an order. This is a highly engaged segment and usually just needs a simple nudge. And what you can do is just resend a winning email from the previous month. That's an email that we know has worked well last month and just resend it on the weekend to this audience. Lastly, you want to do a ton of A/B tests. I noticed that there wasn't much A/B testing going on at all, and I've just added some more notes as to what we want to A/B test. We want to test things like subject lines, call to action, different send times, different imagery, plus many more. Every element of the emails should be tested. And this goes both ways for campaigns and for flows. So yeah, that's pretty much it with the audit. Overall, I would say this brand probably scored around a 3 out of 10, meaning there are a ton of things that they're not currently doing within Klaviyo. And I think realistically, we should be able to triple the amount of revenue this brand is currently driving from Klaviyo just by implementing all these strategies that I've listed out in this audit. So yeah, that pretty much would mean an extra $100,000 in Klaviyo attributed revenue within pretty much 60 to 90 days if this brand implements everything that I suggest, which I think is an absolute no-brainer for them. So yeah, thank you so much for making it this far. I really appreciate your time. If you run an e-commerce brand and you want me to do the exact same for your brand, you want me to do an audit, go through your Klaviyo account and go through all the recommendations that I think would be valuable to you, feel free to book in a call using that first link in the description, and I can do that completely free of charge for you guys. So yeah, if you're interested in a free audit, let me know and I'll be more than happy to get one done for you guys. Yeah, thank you so much for making it this far. I will see you guys in the next video. See ya.